According to the National Electrical Code, specifically Article 400.4, flexible cords and cables should not be used as a substitute for fixed wiring. However, it's essential to delve into the nuances of this regulation and its exceptions to fully understand the situation. One crucial exception outlined in NEC 400.7 allows the use of flexible cords for appliances, where the cord is attached as a part of the appliance. This exception is designed for situations where the appliance is manufactured with a flexible cord as an integral component for its power supply. Now, let's consider this specific scenario involving the 12/4 SOOW cord being used to feed a 5 horsepower 408 volts 3-phase motor. In this context, it's important to determine whether the motor qualifies as an appliance under the NEC definition. Generally, a motor itself is not considered an appliance in the same way as a refrigerator or washing machine. Therefore, the exception for appliances with attached cords typically does not apply to directly wiring a motor with a flexible cord. Given that the motor in question does not fall under the appliance exception, the use of a flexible cord as a permanent wiring method is generally not permitted by the NEC. The reasoning behind this restriction is to ensure the safety and reliability of electrical installations, particularly in industrial environments where motors are commonly used for critical operations. Using a flexible cord as a substitute for fixed wiring introduces potential risks, including physical damage to the cord, insulation breakdown, and potential fire hazards. The older electrician's decision to replace the flexible cord with a length of conduit and a shorter SOOW cord reflects a commitment to adhering to established electrical codes and best practices. This approach ensures a more secure and durable wiring method for the motor, reducing the likelihood of electrical failures and potential safety hazards. Let's break down the acceptable uses for flexible cords and cables according to the NEC. Firstly, pendant cords for luminaires are permitted under specific conditions, as outlined in NEC 400.7. These cords provide flexibility in positioning lighting fixtures while maintaining electrical safety. Secondly, wiring of appliances, as previously discussed, is another acceptable use when the cord is an integral part of the appliance's design and construction. This ensures that the appliance is properly grounded and protected against electrical faults. Thirdly, portable lamps and equipment can be wired with flexible cords, allowing for easy movement and connection to power sources. However, it's important to select the appropriate cord type and size for the intended application to prevent overheating and damage. Fourthly, temporary wiring for construction sites or other temporary applications is permitted under specific guidelines. This allows for flexibility in providing power to various locations while ensuring compliance with safety regulations. Fifthly, elevator cables are specifically designed for the demanding environment of elevators and are permitted for use in these applications. These cables must meet stringent requirements for durability and reliability. Now, let's look at the reasons why conduit is often preferred in industrial motor installations. Firstly, mechanical protection is a primary advantage of using conduit, as it shields the wiring from physical damage, impacts, and abrasions that are common in industrial settings. Secondly, environmental protection is another key benefit, as conduit provides a barrier against moisture, chemicals, and other corrosive substances that can degrade wiring over time. Thirdly, compliance with building codes and regulations is often a driving factor in choosing conduit, as it is a widely accepted and approved wiring method for industrial applications. Fourthly, grounding and bonding capabilities are enhanced with conduit, providing a reliable path for fault currents to return to the source and minimizing the risk of electrical shock. Fifthly, feature expansion and modification are easier to achieve with conduit systems, as additional wires can be pulled through the conduit without the need for major structural changes. In summary, while flexible cords have their place in electrical installations, they are not a substitute for fixed wiring in applications such as directly feeding a motor in an industrial setting. The use of conduit combined with a shorter length of flexible cord for vibration isolation is a more appropriate and NEC-compliant solution. It's essential to consult the NEC and local electrical codes for specific requirements and to ensure that all electrical work is performed by qualified professionals. Furthermore, NEC Article 430 covers motors, motor circuits, and controllers. It provides detailed requirements for motor protection, including overload protection, short-circuit protection, and ground fault protection. It also specifies the minimum conductor size, overcurrent protection device ratings, and disconnecting means for motor circuits. Some additional considerations when dealing with motor installations include the motor's nameplate information. The motor nameplate provides critical information about the motor's electrical characteristics, including its voltage, current, horsepower, and speed. It's essential to use this information to select the appropriate wiring, overcurrent protection, and control equipment for the motor. Then, the motor's starting current should be considered. Motors can draw a significantly higher current when starting than during normal operation. This starting current can cause voltage drops and potentially damage electrical equipment. It's important to select overcurrent protection devices and conductors that can handle the motor's starting current. After that, the ambient temperature considerations must be taken into account. The ambient temperature around the motor can affect its operating temperature and lifespan. High ambient temperatures can cause the motor to overheat, while low ambient temperatures can cause condensation and corrosion. It's important to select motors and enclosures that are suitable for the ambient temperature conditions. Also, the vibration and mechanical stress must be considered. Motors in industrial environments are often subjected to vibration and mechanical stress. It's important to select motors and mounting systems that can withstand these conditions. Flexible conduit or flexible cord can be used to isolate the motor from vibration. Furthermore, the motor's grounding and bonding must be considered. Proper grounding and bonding are essential for preventing electrical shock and ensuring the safe operation of the motor. The motor frame must be grounded to the equipment grounding conductor, and all metallic components of the motor circuit must be bonded together. Lastly, the motor's disconnecting means should be considered. A disconnecting means is a switch or circuit breaker that can be used to de-energize the motor for maintenance or repair. The disconnecting means must be readily accessible and clearly labeled. It must also be capable of interrupting the motor's locked rotor current. Considering the question presented and applying the NEC guidelines, the initial installation of the 12/4 SOOW cord, measuring 48 inches in length and feeding a 5 horsepower, 408 volts, 3-phase motor, would likely not be compliant with the NEC, even with strain relief at each end and support within 10 inches of each end. The NEC generally prohibits the use of flexible cords as a substitute for fixed wiring. While exceptions exist, such as for appliances where the cord is an integral part, a motor typically does not fall under this exception. The second installation, involving a 10-inch piece of conduit and a 30-inch SOOW cord without support for the cord, also presents potential issues. While the conduit addresses the requirement for fixed wiring, the unsupported SOOW cord may not meet NEC standards for strain relief and protection from physical damage. Additionally, the length of the flexible cord might be a concern, as excessive lengths can lead to voltage drop and increased risk of damage. To ensure full compliance with the NEC, a qualified electrician should evaluate the specific installation and make necessary adjustments. This evaluation should consider factors such as the motor's horsepower, voltage, and current requirements, as well as the environmental conditions and potential for physical damage. In general, the NEC favors fixed wiring methods such as conduit for motor installations in industrial settings. However, short lengths of flexible cord may be permitted to provide vibration isolation or to accommodate motor movement, provided that the cord is properly supported, protected from physical damage, and meets all other applicable NEC requirements. Always consult the latest edition of the NEC and local electrical codes for specific requirements in a given jurisdiction. Additional insights into flexible cord usage can be found in NEC Article 400, which covers the use, construction, and ampacity of flexible cords and cables. It provides detailed requirements for selecting the appropriate cord type, size, and ampacity for various applications. It also specifies the conditions under which flexible cords can be used, as well as the restrictions on their use. NEC Article 300 provides general requirements for wiring methods and materials. It covers topics such as conductor sizing, overcurrent protection, grounding, and bonding. It also includes requirements for the installation of raceways, cables, and other wiring methods. NEC Article 430 covers motors, motor circuits, and controllers. It provides detailed requirements for motor protection, including overload protection, short-circuit protection, and ground fault protection. It also specifies the minimum conductor size, overcurrent protection device ratings, and disconnecting means for motor circuits. NEC Table 310.15b16 provides ampacity ratings for conductors based on their insulation type and temperature rating. This table is used to determine the appropriate conductor size for a given load. NEC Table 430.52 provides the maximum ratings for motor branch circuit, short circuit, and ground fault protective devices. This table is used to select the appropriate overcurrent protection device for a motor circuit. NEC Table 430.148 provides the full load currents for alternating current single-phase motors. NEC Table 430.150 provides the full load currents for alternating current three-phase motors. These tables are used to determine the appropriate conductor size and overcurrent protection device ratings for motor circuits. NEC Article 250 covers grounding and bonding. It provides detailed requirements for grounding electrical systems and equipment to minimize the risk of electrical shock. It also includes requirements for bonding metallic components of the electrical system to create a low impedance path for fault currents. In conclusion, the safe and compliant installation of electrical equipment, particularly motors in industrial settings, requires a thorough understanding of the NEC and local electrical codes. Consulting with a qualified electrician is essential to ensure that all installations meet the applicable requirements and provide a safe and reliable electrical system. Regarding the support for the cord, NEC 400.10 addresses the requirements for securing and supporting flexible cords and cables. It states that flexible cords and cables shall be supported by approved means in such a manner that will not damage the cord or cable. The support shall be installed so as to prevent strain on the terminals and splices. The distance between support shall not exceed the value specified in Table 400.10. The table provides specific support intervals based on the type and size of the flexible cord or cable. For example, for a 12/4 SOOW cord, the maximum distance between supports may be 12 inches. In the scenario described, the older electrician's installation of a 30-inch SOOW cord with that support may not meet the requirements of NEC 400.10. The cord should be supported at intervals that do not exceed the values specified in Table 400.10. The lack of support could lead to strain on the cord's terminals and splices, as well as potential damage to the cord itself. This is why the initial setup using supports within 10 inches is better than a 30-inch unsupported SOOW cord.